There's a saying, hang together or you'll be hanged separately. And don't the coalition parties, the Liberals and the Nationals, now know it? I mean, look at them. They're ridiculous, squabbling and all split after the Nationals effectively walked out of the coalition last week. And result, they now face an absolute wipeout, judging by 2 new polls. And that's a tragedy for the country, which is, meanwhile, of course, being butchered by the Albanese government. I mean, you just look at today's surprise inflation figures, jumping up again today to 3.8%, meaning interest rates next week are very likely to go up, with the Treasurer all out of excuses today after having spent far too much.
Inflation ticked up today. It is higher than we'd like. We expected it to tick up, but we know that doesn't make it any easier for people. What does take some of the edge off some of these cost of living pressures is the government's responsible cost of living relief, which we have been rolling out in the context of a budget which we've been getting in better nick at the same time.
Now, I said these new polls are a tragedy for the country because they don't just show the coalition parties a cactus. They also suggest that Australians would actually boot out the Albanese government if the alternative here wasn't such a rabble. Because let's go through these polls. What they also show, the Liberals and Nationals must change at least 1 or possibly 2 of their leaders and get back together. Like, you know, next week would be good. Poll 1 is the Sky News Pulse poll that has Labor on a miserable 31% of the primary vote. But the now ex-coalition parties are, of course, even worse, adding them all up. The Nationals, the Liberals, the LNP, the CLP, just 20%. And that now is way behind Pauline Hanson's One Nation, which has rocketed to 25%. Then there's the Demos poll. It also had One Nation well above the ex-coalition and also had Labor ahead. But again, look at Labor's primary vote, just 30%. 30% is extraordinarily low for a government with such political dominance over the opposition. But of course, more damning for Lee personally is that more Australians in this poll preferred Pauline Hanson as Prime Minister, 26%, than her, Lee, who's on just 16%. Now, I know it's just a poll, and I actually like Susan Lee very much. I mean, I think she's shown great dignity under impossible circumstances. She's been undermined. She's been unlucky. But it's true that she lacks authority over a pretty rapty party. And events in the polls seem implacably against her. So let me repeat, though. You see how little support Labor has, even with the coalition so divided and unworthy. And that suggests that Albanese could be in trouble if the Liberals and Nationals cut the crap and knock themselves into shape. If they got bright new leaders, that would help, and reformed the coalition, presenting new faces and a new vision. And that transformation would start with David Littleproud. He's got to go. He's now busted up this coalition twice and can't be given the chance to do it again, a third time. Now, Littleproud last week made the coalition a clown show by leading a Nationals walkout from the shadow ministry. He was stamping his foot because Lee had dumped 3 National shadow ministers because they'd voted against hate group laws that the shadow cabinet had decided to actually back. Now, Littleproud even shouted at Lee that she should quit. But now, realising, hey, no kidding, the Nationals face a wipeout, he says it actually would like to come back if Lee would just reappoint those 3 National shadow ministers she dumped for breaking shadow cabinet solidarity.
We're in no rush. If the 3 are reinstated, the coalition goes back to all the terms and conditions that we had, that we signed up to in May. That was what the party room voted for, and that's what we've got. So we're calm about that.
Sorry, David, no can do. Agreeing to your demands would be rewarding your bad behaviour and make Lee look fatally weak. And by the way, yes, there is a rush to fix this. The longer people get used to saying, I'm going to vote One Nation, the more that support will become a habit and not just a warning. But the price of reforming the coalition is Littleproud's head. He's got to go. And today, Nationals MP Colin Boyce went on Sky News to announce he'll be calling a leadership spill on Monday to get rid of Littleproud.
I will announce to you right here today, you heard it first, I will be moving a spill motion on Monday afternoon, and so I will be standing for the leadership. David has made some bad decisions recently.
Now, I know Boyce has next to no chance of winning, really, but someone else could put up their hand and they could win. And Matt Canavan, for instance. Otherwise, this mess continues, and Boyce may even follow Barnaby Joyce and defect to the rampaging One Nation. He's already been considering just that, although today said he had no such plans. Maybe he couldn't win his seat if he did. Maybe he's worked that out. But whatever, this coalition shambles cannot continue. And not just because the Liberals and Nationals separately face oblivion. This country cannot afford to keep a Labor government whose policies have so utterly failed. It's not just that inflation is rising again or that interest rates will rise and rise again. Look at the government's disastrous green schemes, the soaring power prices, the division under Labor, its betrayal of Jews, the mass immigration that's so hated by voters, and Labor's wild spending that's leaving us with $1 trillion debt this year and a decade of deficits to come. Australia can't afford this, but needs a credible, united alternative to vote for. The Liberals and Nationals betray our country by not offering it. But the coalition can get together again only if it can tell a good story to explain why. A story that's not, the Liberals just caved again. It's got to be a positive story about a regeneration, and that means bye-bye Littleproud and probably Lee as well. And look, imagine if they're replaced by Liberal Andrew Hastie, a former SAS captain, and by the Nationals' Matt Canavan, even though he's in the Senate. That's at least a fresh coalition, a fresh look, a fresh start. Well, really so fresh that Hastie actually has zero ministerial experience and a lot to learn, which does worry me. But anything less than a radical reform will not work. I think voters are now just too sick of more of the same.